Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. Clearly, I'm not here today, but I do want to take a few minutes and go through all the activities that are in today's lesson to make sure that you understand my expectations and what you should accomplish by the end of today's lesson. Um, Remember, we are studying Objective 8.E.1.1, and it's on the board in the front of the classroom if you just look up. And in that objective, we are trying to understand Earth's hydrosphere and how water is distributed around the Earth. Today's lesson is titled Watersheds and River Basins. Make sure you have titled your notebook page and make sure that you have copied these three vocabulary words in your notebook. So today we're focusing on drainage basins or river basins. They're also called watersheds, and they are an area of land, so it's always the land where water runs downhill and collects into some body of water. So remember that gravity is always pulling water downhill, and then it's going to collect, and eventually all water drains to the ocean. The second word is drainage divide. And a divide is a hill or a mountain range. It's going to be some area of high elevation that separates two or more drainage basins. So if you think about a mountain, water flows in one direction on one side of the mountain, and on the other side of the mountain, water flows in a different direction. The third key vocabulary word is topography, and topography is also used in social studies, and that word refers to the natural and artificial features on the land in an area. So that might be something like a mountain is a feature on land that determines where water flows, or areas that are flat, that water doesn't move as quickly in flat regions because water isn't flowing downhill as much. Or there might be a valley on the land. So all those features are going to determine how water moves across the land. Before I go on to the next slide, make sure that you've written your homework in your agenda. Uh, Make sure that you have submitted the water web quest from, I think it was 2 class periods ago. My goal is to try to have the water web quest grade entered into Power School by the end of this week. Even though I'm not at school, I can still do some work at home. And we'll be checking for your articles next week, and make sure that you're always working on your workbook, which will be due on October 22nd. All right, so this is our module. And the first thing I notice when I look at the module, I see 2 smiley faces with stars. So that's 2 different grades that are going to be recorded in the Power School. So one is a prepare grade, which is worth 20% of your average, and the other is a rehearse grade. So there are 4 activities in your module today, and I'm going to go through each one. The first activity is river basins and watershed Venn diagram. The second activity is titled Journey of the Raindrop. The third activity is titled Mapping River Basins. And the last activity is an ed puzzle where you'll be exploring North Carolina and getting some more basic information on North Carolina's river basins. So let's start with the first. So let's start with the first activity, which is your river basins and watershed Venn diagram work. So, all right. So, if you go into your module, and when you click on the module, it's going to pull up a presentation, and it starts with the same introductory page that I just shared with you. But my expectation is that you read the presentation carefully, and you're going to see a diagram for a Venn diagram. And one side is labeled river basin, and the other side is labeled watershed. And as you are carefully reading through all the slides, you're going to be pulling notes about each part into a Venn diagram. And you'll see throughout the presentation where I will give you hints of the kind of information that should be in the Venn diagram as you carefully read the presentation. So the most important piece is to make sure that you carefully read the presentation, And notice that at the end, I have several words that are in bold. So those would be great words for you to highlight or even underline when you get to the end of the presentation. Right? So that's the first activity. That's the river basins and watershed Venn diagram. That's going to give you the background knowledge that you need to do the next activity. The second activity is called Journey of a Raindrop. And this is, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. So here are the instructions. All right, so you're going to explore the flow of water in the United States using a fun interactive. Just click your mouse to drop a raindrop anywhere in the contiguous United States and watch where it ends up. So I'm going to go back into my module and I'm going to click next in my module. Click next. Click next. Come on, little module. Let's try that again. Click next. Give me just a second. I know I can figure this out. Click next. Okay. Click next. I'm sorry. Okay. I think I got it now. Where's next? Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so here's the activity. Journey of a Raindrop. All right, so you're going to open your student copy of the assignment. So I'm going to open the student copy. All right, so here is your work. So I found this interesting link where, and here it is, here's the link that you'll click on. And if you click anywhere on this map in the United States, so I'm going to click here in North Carolina. If I click anywhere, it's going to add a drop of water. All right, so you can see where it's loading. It's still loading, so give it time to load. It's going to load. And what it's doing is it's loading an aerial view of the path of water from the place where I clicked with my mouse. And it will give you an aerial view until that water eventually flows into the ocean. So notice on this page, there's a map in the top left corner, and on the right side, it will give you the names of each of the rivers that water flows through as water makes its way to the Atlantic Ocean. So as you are doing this activity, I'm very specific on where I want you to drop water. So for your first click, I want you to just explore and place a drop of water anywhere in the United States. And then you're going to answer the questions that are in the blue box. And after you type your answer, click refresh in the interactive so that you can place a second drop of water, right? For the second drop of water, I want you to locate the Rocky Mountains, and then you're going to place a drop of water anywhere that's to the west of Rocky Mountains. So that's anywhere like California or Oregon or Washington or Nevada. And then you're going to observe the flow of water, and you're going to enter your answer into the blue box and then refresh the map again. The third drop of water, you're going to look for the Mississippi River, which is the largest river in the United States. And then you're going to put a drop of water between the Rocky Mountains and the Mississippi River. And here's some examples of states. And then you're going to place a drop of water anywhere between the Appalachian Mountains and Mississippi. And here are some examples of states. And then you'll type your answer, and so on and so forth. So what you're doing is you're exploring how water is flowing across the land in different parts as you move from west to east in the United States. All right, so when you're finished with this work, then you're going to click submit because there is a happy face next to this assignment. All right, so now you're ready to actually work with an actual map. So you should have a physical map in your hands. You should have received one in class to map river basins. All right, and so you need a United States map, you need a North Carolina map, and you need some colored pencils. If you don't have your own colored pencils, the colored pencils are in the front of the classroom. All right, so here's what it looks like. The directions are printed, so please follow the directions. You're going to start with your paper copy of the United States, then you're going to trace the path of the Mississippi River. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. All right, trace the path of the Mississippi River with a blue colored pencil from start to end. And so that's going to look like this. You'll see where I found the Mississippi River, and I traced the path with a blue colored pencil. Then the next part is to now trace all the tributaries, all the little rivers that flow into the Mississippi River. So now, and I need to do that in a black colored pencil. So then, now my map looks like this, and I've only darkened in a few of the tributaries in black that feed into the Mississippi River. All right, then the next instruction says to now connect the dots using a third color of your choice, outlining the points from all the tributaries start and the point where the major river joins the ocean. This should create an outline bubble around each major river and all of its tributaries. The land inside the bubble is the Mississippi River Basin. So now you're going to, if you look at my picture, you'll see where I took green and I colored all of the region that encases all of the little tributaries and all the rivers, because that is the area where the water is flowing downhill into this major river. So you're going to explore the Mississippi River Basin, the Colorado River Basin, the Snake River Basin, and then you're going to do the same thing with North Carolina. You're going to explore the Cape Fear River Basin in North Carolina, the Yadkin Pee River Basin, and finally, the Catawba River Basin. And we live in the Catawba River Basin. So when you finish with this, you should have maps with different river basins. The main river is colored blue, the tributaries are in black, and then you shade it in the areas. All right, so I'm going to try to finish up so that I don't take too much more of your time. Then you're going to watch an ed puzzle. You know what to do with the ed puzzle. You're going to click get started. You're going to join with Google so that all your answers are recorded. All right, so remember there are 4 activities in today's module. Work hard, do a good job, be on your best behavior, please, and submit your work. Remember to submit 2 assignments to me. Make sure that you submit the Journey of the Raindrop, Mapping of River Basins, and when you log into the Ed Puzzle, sign in with Google. Okay? Have a great day, everybody. Please be productive, and I will see you when I come back to work on Monday. Have a good one.